Good evening, ladies. We're moving on with our learning. So we're moving on with our book, The Obligation of the Heart. And he explains now, because we spoke about the Torah and why we need the Torah, why can't we just settle and be happy with just worshiping Hashem out of our own understanding and our own free will. And he explained why we need the Torah. Now he explains what does the Torah contain, basically. So he says that if we try to to bottom it down to write in basic, what does the Torah contain? So it says that it's, I'm hoping my translations are going to be good enough and you'll understand what I mean. But he says that basically everything is divided into mitzvot, that are orders, warnings, and things that are allowed. So he says the orders, those mitzvot, those commands, what are they divided to? So it's divided to chovat halevavot, which is the obligation of the heart, which is what we're learning, which is believing in Hashem and trusting Hashem and knowing that there is only one God and not many, and different parts of that, and how we trusting Hashem and loving Hashem and so on and so forth. And then we have, he says, mitzvot that are combined, which is you have the obligation of the heart and to combine together with the physical aspect of the mitzvah. For example, learning Torah. You need to learn Torah. It's something you do physically. You sit down and learn, but it's not something that you can just sit down and learn without any feeling, or you're supposed to have your heart involved. It's supposed to have your intention, and the level of intention you have into this mitzvah and the level of commitment and the feelings you have inside of you, that changes the value of the mitzvah. So we have learning Torah and davening and giving tzedakah and like charity and keeping Shabbat and building a sukkah and so on and so forth. All of these things we are ordered to do. These are mitzvot that we were given that we should do. And then we have the warnings. And the warnings, again, are divided into warnings regarding the heart and warnings regarding the body. So the warnings regarding the heart is not to be proud and not to hate and not to crave things that don't belong to you, and so on and so forth. And also, there are warnings regarding our body. For example, that we shouldn't lie and we shouldn't talk badly about other people. We shouldn't shed blood. We shouldn't worship other idols. And then he says there is this gray area. It's not a gray area. It's something that is not in order. It's not something we have to do, and it's not something that we are forbidden to do. It's something that is allowed. And he says all this area that is allowed, it's divided into three. It's called Dei Sipuk, Ribui Vakitzu, which means that the things that you're allowed to do, they're divided into things that this is the proper quantity of them, which is this is the proper, what is proper. And then there is Ribui, which is doing too much, and there is Kitzu, that is doing less, not enough. So he says, Dei Sipuk, what is the proper amount? It's whatever you have to do. You have to work, and you have to provide for your children, and you have to eat, and you have to sleep, and you have to go to the bathroom. All these things are allowed. You don't have to, you're not obligated, you're not ordered to do them. They're allowed. They're good, and they're proper, and that's what we do. And then there is doing too much of it. For example, this is not forbidden, but it's not something that we should do. For example, eating way too much. It's not something that is advised or recommended. Or having too many wives, or this is something that according to the Torah is allowed. You're allowed to have more than one wife, but it's not recommended. Also, anything that related to money or things like that, it's allowed. You can have a mansion or the most expensive car, but you probably shouldn't do that. It's not the best thing to do. And then there is doing less than what is proper, what is enough. And then it depends why you do it. If, for example, a person doesn't eat much, and he doesn't sleep much, or he settles for less. He doesn't need a big house, and he settles for less. So it depends why he does it. If he does it because this is his way to be closer to Hashem, he doesn't want to be a slave of his body, whatever. People have their own opinions, and this is the path that he chose for himself, but his intentions are pure and good, and he wants to do it to become a better person, so that's very good. But if, on the other hand, he does it because he wants to be looked upon as a tzaddik, it depends what's his intention. If a person doesn't eat that much because he knows people are going to look at him and think, ooh, he's such a tzaddik, then this is not being a tzaddik at all. And then he says that the difference basically the difference between something that is good and something that is bad is your intention. And he says that now you can divide everything that the person does between these three. Either it's a mitzvah, it's one of the tzivui, one of the orders, one of the things that we should do. Either it's a warning, something that is forbidden or bad, or it's something that is proper. And then he says like that, if you do something that is proper, then it's good. If you go to one of the edges, either you do too much or you do less, it depends what your intention is. If you do what is proper, that is called a mitzvah, because we're told to do all of that. We're told to provide for our families, and we're told to bring children to the world. We're ordered in a way to live a proper, healthy life. So if you do that, then you're doing a mitzvah. And there are different psukim to support it, how just living a normal life, it's good and it's wanted and it's appreciated. If you go to one of the corners, if you do less or you do more than what is proper, then it depends on your intention. If you do it, as we said before, to be appreciated by other people, then it's bad. If you're doing it and your intention is to become a better person and settle for less, that is good. Also, I heard there's a very famous Hasidic story about a person who ate a lot of food. A lot. He was huge. And one of his rabbis, a rabbi in a different community, was told that he will be in heaven with this person. And he didn't understand when he came to see who will his friend be in heaven. He went to meet him and he saw this person who just eats and eats and eats, and he didn't understand because he settles for less. So how come this is my roommate in heaven? So he told him that the reason he eats so much is because his parents were in the Holocaust, and they were both skinny people, and they were burnt, and he saw them burning. I don't think it was in a camp, but something like that. And he said they were so skinny, so they burned so quickly. So he said, I don't want to be burnt so easily. I'm eating a lot, so I will be big, and I will leave a mark on this world, and it won't be easy to burn a Jew like me. And he was considered to be a tzaddik. So it depends. Your intention is what matters, basically. That's it. Ooh, that's a long video. Bye. Good evening.